Hello, everyone. This is Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Kailash Ambwani, who is the CEO of Constella Intelligence, as well as being one of the icons in our industry. Just a wonderful background as a CEO and investor. We're just delighted to have him here. So, Kailash, thanks for making some time today.
Thank you, Ed. It's great to be here.
Now, you have had a wonderful career in technology and all sorts of really interesting areas. You got to tell us what attracted you to cybersecurity and to Constella Intelligence.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ed. And as you said, I've had a long career. I'm an old guy. I've run several startups in this industry, from consumer software to enterprise software. But I've always kind of stayed away from security. I've always felt, security was very noisy, lots of companies, most companies building features that, ultimately will get acquired by a platform player. But what attracted me to Constella is I felt that Constella was addressing what I feel is the next frontier in security, right? Today, you've got most security companies are internally focused, helping you secure your infrastructure, secure your endpoints. But increasingly, companies need to anticipate risk. They need to be looking outside their perimeter, especially if you think about today when we're all working from home, et cetera. Identity is the perimeter, right? And increasingly, it becomes important for companies to understand what's happening in the outside, in the external environment, and identify and anticipate risks, emerging risks in the external environment. And that's what Constella is focused on. We're focused on helping our customers understand what's happening out there and how that impacts them.
Obviously important nowadays. It's hard to turn on the TV anymore without hearing about the latest breach or problem or exploit. Tell us
or ransomware.
Right. I mean, how do you guys help your I'm presuming enterprise and government, and I know you guys deal with organizations of all sizes. Give us a little sense of how the solution that you guys provide helps them deal with this just seemingly endless array of cyber attacks. What do you guys do to help them?
Yeah, so Ed, we have a large amount of data from the dark web, breach data that we've collected over many years, as well as data from surface and social. And then we've got tools on top of those that help us analyze and make sense of that data. And then we have a team of analysts who deliver these results to our customers. So we go everywhere from helping our customers understand what type of disinformation is going on out there that impacts them, what type of chatter, if you will, is going on in the social web, the surface web, the dark web, all the way down to using our credential and breach data to help them attribute the actors who are involved in this, and to help provide executive monitoring, executive protection for their employees. So our solutions help our customers protect their people, their business, their brand, their assets. And it's really an end-to-end capability that we bring across the entire environment.
Makes sense. Now, this is a big job, and you brought together two companies, right? The 4IQ and Alta. Tell us a little bit about the two companies and what were some of the synergies that made that merger a good idea.
Yeah. So 4IQ is a Silicon Valley venture-funded company. They've specialized the last several years in identity intelligence, so collecting breach credentials from the dark markets, the dark web, and helping protect consumers and executives inside organizations. Alto has been focused on social and surface web listening and helping their customers understand the reputational risk, disinformation risk. So in early 2020, frankly, just before the pandemic hit, 4IQ acquired Alto with the premise that the combined entities will be able to deliver a holistic visibility to our customers, everything from the deep and dark web to the surface and social web, and help our customers understand what's going on in the environment across all of those views. So that was the premise behind the two companies combining, and it's been great. I mean, our customers love what we're delivering to them. They like the fact that we're able to not only tell them, hey, there's some activity going on regarding, geopolitical risk or disinformation campaign about your company, and to correlate that with what's happening in the dark market, so you can anticipate potential attacks from these threat actors.
One thing I find so interesting about this type of threat intelligence is that when you compare it to other kinds of things, like you don't really need a lot of threat intelligence to stop bank robberies, because there's only a couple ways you can rob a bank. It seems, tell me if I've got this right. I guess the issue is that these attack vectors are so varied and changing, and there's so much innovation, that to protect yourself, you not only have to put things in place to mitigate, but you have to keep track of what's going on. Like this, is that part of the problem for the, like, when people, why are we getting attacked? Is that one of the reasons?
Yeah, I think that's right. Although, nowadays, if you read some of the latest reports, it's startling how many companies are getting attacked, right? So, it's not just the high-profile companies that are getting attacked, but thousands of businesses are getting attacked with ransomware attacks, et cetera. So the fact that you exist is reason enough to be attacked. But you're right, and what's interesting to me is, on the one hand, these techniques and tactics that the actors are using, the bad guys are using, are getting more sophisticated. But yet, some of the famous things you've heard of, in the news lately, have really been a result of fairly basic, pitfalls, right? Fairly basic vulnerabilities, like your credentials getting breached, right? So kind of taking care of some of that stuff. I mean, that's what we tell our customers is, yes, you should think about what your vulnerabilities are and how to protect against them, but make sure that you're covering, covering first base, right? Yeah. Make sure there's good hygiene in your organization, that your users are changing their passwords on a regular basis, because passwords get breached and people tend to reuse those breached passwords. So our capabilities help them understand that. They help them understand, how many passwords in my domain have been breached, how many users' emails have been breached. That, if you've got a high count of that, you're going to be vulnerable, right? So it's at one level, it's relatively straightforward precautions that you can take to make sure you're not needlessly exposing yourself to these kind of attacks.
We talk about change amongst the attackers to keep track, but also businesses are changing. You've been you're an experienced CEO. Talk to me a little bit about digital transformation. So as companies transform themselves and are more dependent on automation and are more data-driven, it would seem to me that they've just become more vulnerable to cyber attack. It doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means you have to compensate for the risk. Is that something that, as a CEO, is that a logical kind of conclusion one might draw about this change?
Absolutely, absolutely, right. And especially in the environment that we live in today with distributed, with our distributed workforce. There was a CISO I was talking to recently who used the expression I used earlier, which is, he said, identity is the new perimeter, right? I can't keep track of where my colleagues are. I can't keep track of their IP addresses, the assets they're using, because they're remote and they're using their home computers, their mobile devices, their personal computers. It really is about identity that we've got to protect. So look, there's a huge number of benefits that are coming from digital transformation, obviously, as people are moving more and more of their processes online, moving more to the cloud. That's great for society. That's great for our productivity. That's great for our work-life balance, right? but with that comes risks, and those are the things that we have to manage as leaders in this organization.
Now, the services you sell, as I understand it, the analyst community, of which I'm a part, so I'm partly to blame for the monikers that pop out, but I think digital risk protection, DRP, and DRP services would be
Correct.
the designation. How well does that resonate? I mean, most people, they know what a firewall is, they know what authentication is. Do you find that you have to educate your customers a little bit about what you do, or are they getting more familiar with this type of capability?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're getting more familiar with it. They're realizing that this is something they need to address. They need to understand that they can't just play defense all the time. They need to be anticipating what's going on. But the challenge is for our customers, and it's one of the reasons why we've taken the approach we've taken. The challenge for our customers is, typically in this area, what they've gotten from vendors has been data, right? So, hey, I'm going to give you TTPs. I'm going to give you lots of data about what's going on and what people are saying out there. But the problem is, how do you turn that data into insight, right? And that's one of the core things we're focused on. So we don't, like I said, we have a large team of analysts in-house who use our tools and use our data to deliver insights to our customers. And we're launching a new offering called Dome, which is a automated self-serve system where you can go in, you can provision your executives, you can provision your domain, your brand, and it'll automatically monitor the external environment and alert you about risks to your executives, risks to your brand, risks to your assets. So really the challenge for our customers is, there's plenty of data out there. How do I make sense out of it? Tell me something that I can act on, as opposed to just giving me a lot of information that I've got to synthesize myself. That's what we're focused on.
As a longtime member of the executive community, you deal with a lot of boards. I'm sure you have, in your circles, you deal with people who have very senior positions. They're kind of getting this a little bit. I know for many years, board directors, even senior leaders would tell you honestly that they didn't know the first thing about cybersecurity, much less digital risk protection, much less dark web. I mean, the brain explodes at some point. What are you finding? Is the trends in the right direction? Are they getting a little better?
Absolutely. And how can you not, Ed? Right?
I guess it was a low bar, right?
Well, but every time you turn on the TV, every time you open a magazine, you're hearing about another digital attack, another ransomware attack. When the Colonial Pipeline attack hit, we delivered a set of talking points to, we have several customers in the energy industry. We delivered a set of talking points to our CISOs at these customers because, one of them called us up and said, over the weekend, if you remember, that hit the news on Saturday, we got a call saying, hey, I know I'm going to get a call from my CEO. What should I be saying? Tell me more about it. So, we gave them a full analysis of the TTPs, what they needed to do, et cetera. So absolutely, this is now an exec committee issue. It's a board issue. And CISOs increasingly are being asked to present to the board, what are we doing to ensure that we're not putting the company at risk? And especially the earlier point about digital transformation, digital is work. Work is digital now. So to think of security, to think about your work and not think of security is criminal, right?
Makes sense. So as you look into the coming years, like you and your team, I'm curious. I totally understand that all of us in this business know that there's some pretty scary scenarios that could occur, the cyber attacks that could hit something severe. But when you get with your team, is the team generally optimistic, or is there maybe some storm clouds? I always like to ask this question because it gives us a little sense of what the experts are thinking. about the coming years. How would you gauge the sentiment of your team when they think about threat?
I would say we're worried, but I think a certain amount of worry is important because it helps you prepare, right? So look, I don't think this is going to get. I think this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
I do too, by the way. I'm glad you said that. We interview a lot of people who say, "Oh, it's going to get great," and I always think, that's not the graph we're on now.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing anybody, a great service by being Pollyannish about this, right?
I would agree.
Look, you're hearing about state actors getting involved. I mean, this is the next frontier in warfare, quite frankly, right? And we've got to make sure that we're prepared for it. So I think we're approaching it with the right amount of seriousness. We're optimistic that we can address these challenges and help our customers address these challenges. But I think all of us need to have a certain amount of gravity about what we're up against here. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good to hear. So, well, listen, for people who are watching who might have some interest in your services, what would be, should they just visit the website? Are there places where they can get a briefing and learn more?
Yeah, visit our website. That's the best place to start. We have a lot of content there, a lot of white papers, blogs that are very informative, as well as I think we just released our breach report. That'll give you a great state of the environment type of report. So that's where I would start. I would start at constellaintelligence.com. That's 2 L's in Constella and 2 L's in intelligence.
That might be where they are watching you and I speak right now on this video. That would be
there you go.
logical.
That's right. So if you're seeing this, you're already there.
Yeah, then you're already there. Or if you're on YouTube, then hop on over and we'll make sure the links.
Exactly.
Listen, it's an absolute delight to spend some time with you. On behalf of my team at Tag Cyber and everybody watching, thanks so much for sharing. It's wonderful to connect up, and I hope you tell your team, keep up the good work. We need them working hard.
Will do. Thank you, Ed. Thank you for your time.
Great. And for all the rest
of you.
Oh yeah, and the rest of you, we'll see you all next time.